You know what's interesting? Some people are not observant because they are naturally quiet. They are observant because life taught them that noticing small things could change everything. They notice the pause before someone answers. They notice when a smile does not reach the eyes. They notice when a room feels normal to everyone else, but something underneath it feels tense, heavy, or unsafe. And for a long time, they may not even realize they are doing it. They may simply think, this is just how my mind works. But psychology gives us a deeper way to understand it. Sometimes, the mind becomes highly sensitive, not because a person chose to be this way, but because at some point, they had to become this way. When someone grows up around unpredictability, emotional pressure, criticism, conflict, rejection, or instability, the brain begins to adapt. It starts studying people. It starts collecting patterns. It starts asking questions before the person even knows they are asking them. What mood is this person in? Is this conversation safe? Did their tone change? Are they upset with me? Should I speak? Stay quiet? Fix something? Leave? Apologize? Explain? Or prepare? Over time, this becomes more than a habit. It becomes a kind of intelligence. Not the kind that always shows up in school grades, job titles, or impressive achievements. A quieter kind. A hidden kind. The kind of intelligence built inside people who had to understand others before they fully understood themselves. And the first sign is this. You can feel the emotional temperature of a room almost immediately. You walk into a place, and before anyone explains anything, your mind is already reading. You notice who seems distant. You notice who is forcing calm. You notice when two people have been arguing, even if they are trying to act normal. You may not have evidence yet, but something in you says, something is off. This is not magic. It is pattern recognition. Your brain learned to connect tiny signals with emotional outcomes. A tightened jaw, a shorter answer, a sudden silence, a change in someone's breathing, a shift in the way people look at each other. Most people miss those things because they were never trained to look for them. But your nervous system may have learned that small signs often came before bigger emotional changes. So, now, even in adulthood, you read rooms almost automatically. The second sign is that you often understand what people need before they say it. You can sense when someone needs space. You can feel when someone wants reassurance. You notice when a friend says, I'm fine, but their energy says something completely different. And sometimes, you respond before they ask. You send a message. You soften your tone. You offer help. You make the room easier for them to exist in. To other people, this may look like kindness. And it is kindness. But underneath it, there may also be an old survival skill. Maybe at some point, you had to pay close attention to the needs of people around you. Maybe peace depended on it. Maybe affection depended on it. Maybe your sense of safety depended on whether you could predict what someone else needed before they became disappointed, angry, distant, or cold. So you became deeply attuned. You learned to feel shifts before they became words. That ability can make you compassionate. It can make you thoughtful. It can make people feel seen around you. But it can also become exhausting when you feel responsible for emotions that are not yours to carry. The third sign is that you stay unusually calm during chaos. When something goes wrong, people around you may panic, freeze, or become overwhelmed. But something in you becomes focused. Your voice gets steadier. Your thoughts become practical. You start solving. You look for the next step. You may even surprise yourself with how functional you become when things are falling apart. But later, when everything is over, you feel the weight of it. You may shake. You may cry. You may feel tired in a way you cannot explain. That is because your calmness may not always be peace. Sometimes, it is your nervous system entering a mode it knows very well. Pressure feels familiar. Urgency feels familiar. Having to manage things quickly feels familiar. You learned how to operate when life was unstable. So while others are trying to adjust to the crisis, part of you may feel like, I know this place. This does not mean you are broken. It means your mind became skilled in environments where quick thinking mattered. But it also means you may need to learn that you are allowed to be cared for after the crisis passes. You are allowed to stop being useful for a moment. You are allowed to feel. The fourth sign is that you think deeply about why people behave the way they do. You do not just hear what someone says. You wonder what it means. You replay conversations. You analyze tone. You think about motives. You notice contradictions between words and actions. You ask yourself why someone reacted so strongly, why they withdrew, why they changed, why they said one thing but did another. And sometimes, your mind does not know when to stop. This depth can make you wise. It can make you perceptive. It can help you understand human behavior at a level many people never reach. But it can also trap you in overthinking. Because what began as insight may have started as protection. If people around you were unpredictable, inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or hard to understand, your mind may have learned to study them constantly. Understanding people became a way to feel safer. If you could explain their behavior, maybe you could prepare for it. If you could predict their mood, maybe you could avoid pain. If you could find the reason, maybe you could regain control. So now, even when you are safe, your mind may still search for hidden meanings. Not because you are dramatic, not because you are too sensitive, but because your brain learned long ago that information felt like protection. The fifth sign is that you have a complicated relationship with peace. You may say you want rest. You may dream about a slower life, a calm home, quiet mornings, peaceful relationships, and a mind that finally stops running. But when peace actually arrives, something in you may not know what to do with it. Stillness can feel unfamiliar. Quiet can feel suspicious. A calm relationship can feel strange if you are used to emotional highs and lows. A normal day can make your mind search for a problem. You may find yourself creating tasks, checking messages, replaying old situations, or worrying about something that has not happened. Not because you want stress, but because your nervous system may have confused alertness with safety. If you spent years waiting for the next emotional shift, peace may not immediately feel peaceful. It may feel like the silence before something happens. And this is where healing becomes important, because the same mind that became brilliant at surviving can struggle to receive safety. The same sensitivity that helps you understand people can make it hard to relax around them. The same intelligence that helped you adapt can keep you scanning for threats that are no longer there. So before we continue, pause with this thought. The traits you carry are not random. Your perception, your empathy, your problem solving, your deep thinking, your difficulty resting, they are all telling a story. But that story is not just about what hurt you. It is also about how intelligently your mind responded. And in the next part, we need to go deeper, because the remaining signs reveal something even more personal. They show how this hidden survival intelligence shapes your trust, your identity, your relationships, your emotional depth, and the way you search for meaning in life. So if this is speaking to something you have never been able to explain, stay with me for the next part. And if you want to understand your mind with more clarity, more compassion, and more truth, subscribe to Mind Motive Theory, because sometimes the greatest breakthrough begins when you finally understand why you became the way you are. The sixth sign is that trust does not come easily to you. You may be warm. You may be kind. You may listen deeply. You may make other people feel safe with you. But letting someone get close to you is different. There is often a private distance inside you that most people never notice. You can care about someone and still quietly observe them. You can enjoy someone's presence and still wait to see who they become under pressure. You can want connection and still feel a part of you holding back. And this is not because you are cold. It is not because you do not know how to love. It may be because your mind learned that trust should not be given only because someone sounds safe. Your mind learned to look for consistency, not promises, patterns, not charm, character, not one good moment, repeated evidence over time. This can make relationships slower for you, but it can also make your loyalty very deep when trust is finally earned. Because once you believe someone is safe, you do not connect casually. You connect with meaning. You value honesty. You notice effort. You remember small acts of care. You do not take emotional safety lightly, because you know what it feels like to live without it. The seventh sign is that you are often harder on yourself than anyone realizes. From the outside, you may look capable, responsible, composed, maybe even strong. People may assume you have everything handled because you are good at functioning. But inside, you may carry a voice that constantly measures you. Did I say too much? Did I do enough? Did I disappoint them? Could I have handled that better? Should I have known sooner? Should I have seen the signs? This kind of inner pressure often develops in people who had to become emotionally aware too early. When you spend a long time trying to prevent conflict, avoid rejection, or manage the emotional atmosphere around you, you may start believing that everything is somehow your responsibility. If someone is upset, you wonder what you did. If someone becomes distant, you replay your behavior. If something goes wrong, you search yourself first. And while self-awareness can be a strength, excessive self-blame is not the same as wisdom. Sometimes, it is the mind trying to regain control by assuming responsibility for things that were never fully yours. Because, if everything was your fault, then maybe everything could be fixed by you. But healing begins when you realize that not every mood is your assignment. Not every silence is your failure. Not every person's reaction is proof that you did something wrong. The eighth sign is that your emotional depth is difficult to explain. You may feel things with an intensity that surprises even you. A song can bring back an entire season of your life. A sentence someone says casually can stay with you for days. A small act of kindness can move you more than people expect. And injustice, rejection, or emotional cruelty may affect you deeply, not because you are weak, But because your emotional system is highly responsive, you do not just notice life, you absorb it. You may walk away from conversations still carrying the weight of what was said. You may feel the pain behind someone's behavior. You may sense when a person is smiling while hiding something heavy. This emotional depth can make the world feel overwhelming. But it can also make you profoundly human. It can make you creative. It can make you compassionate. It can make you able to understand pain without needing someone to explain every detail. The challenge is learning where your empathy ends and another person's responsibility begins. Because when you feel deeply, it is easy to confuse understanding someone with carrying them. It is easy to confuse compassion with self-abandonment. It is easy to become the safe place for everyone else, while never asking who is safe for you. The ninth sign is that you are constantly searching for meaning. You do not move through life casually. You think about why things happen. You wonder what certain experiences were supposed to teach you. You look for patterns in your pain, your relationships, your choices, your fears, and your growth. Even when life hurts, some part of you wants the pain to become useful, not because you wanted it, not because it was fair, but because the idea of suffering without meaning feels unbearable. So you turn experience into insight. You turn disappointment into awareness. You turn heartbreak into wisdom. You turn confusion into questions that lead you deeper into yourself. This is one of the most powerful parts of a mind shaped by survival. It does not simply want to exist. It wants to understand. It wants to transform. It wants to take what happened and build something from it. But here's the delicate truth. Meaning should not become pressure. You do not have to turn every painful thing into a lesson immediately. You do not have to be inspirational while you are still healing. You do not have to explain your growth in a way that makes other people comfortable. Sometimes meaning comes slowly. Sometimes the first meaning is simply this: I survived something that changed me, and now I am learning how to live without letting it define me completely. And the 10th sign is perhaps the most important one. You are beginning to realize that survival intelligence is not the same as freedom. Being able to read people is powerful, but you should not have to scan every room to feel safe. Being able to handle pressure is useful, but you should not have to live in pressure to feel valuable. Being deeply empathetic is beautiful, but you should not have to lose yourself to prove you care. Being self-reliant can protect you, but you are not meant to carry every burden alone. This is where the story changes, because for a long time, your mind may have been asking one question: how do I stay safe? But healing invites a different question. How do I live fully now that I am no longer in the same place? That question can feel unfamiliar, because survival has a rhythm. It teaches you to prepare, to analyze, to anticipate, to endure. But freedom has a different rhythm. Freedom teaches you to breathe, to receive, to rest, to trust slowly, to choose relationships that do not require constant emotional defense, to stop confusing peace with danger, to stop calling exhaustion maturity, to stop believing that being needed is the same as being loved. And maybe this is the part of the video you needed most. The abilities you developed are real. Your perception is real. Your emotional intelligence is real. Your strength is real. Your ability to understand people is real. But so is the cost. And if you only celebrate the strength without acknowledging the cost, you may never give yourself permission to heal. You may keep performing resilience while quietly longing for rest. You may keep being the strong one while secretly wishing someone would notice when you are tired. You may keep understanding everyone else while wondering why nobody seems to understand you. So let this be clear. You are not strange for noticing everything. You are not weak for feeling deeply. You are not dramatic for needing consistency. You are not broken because peace still feels unfamiliar. You are a person whose mind learned to adapt, a person whose nervous system became intelligent in ways most people cannot see, a person who may have learned survival early, but is still allowed to learn softness now. And maybe the next chapter of your life is not about becoming more aware. Maybe you are already aware enough. Maybe the next chapter is about becoming safe enough to stop watching everything so closely. Safe enough to rest without guilt. Safe enough to trust without losing wisdom. Safe enough to love without disappearing. Safe enough to be present without preparing for pain. Because the goal is not to erase the mind that protected you. The goal is to teach that mind that protection is not the only way to live. You can keep your wisdom without keeping the fear. You can keep your depth without carrying everyone's pain. You can keep your insight without analyzing every silence. You can keep your strength without living as if no one will ever show up for you. And maybe that is what true healing looks like. Not becoming someone completely different, but finally becoming someone who no longer has to survive every room they enter. If this video helped you understand yourself in a way you could not explain before, take a moment to subscribe to Mind Motive Theory. Here, we explore the hidden patterns behind the way people think, feel, love, protect themselves, and heal. And sometimes, understanding your mind is the first step toward no longer being controlled by what shaped it.